Enough is enough. It's time to fix this place the only way I know how. With the power of rock. Tina!
Jack Black finally made it into Saturday Night Live's Five-Timers Club, but instead of a classy celebration, the whole thing turned into a chaotic rescue mission. What started as a major career milestone suddenly became a joke about SNL's most overused tradition, complete with surprise cameos, a broken Five-Timers lounge, and a rock-fueled ending that completely hijacked the night. And the wildest part is, the sketch knew exactly what it was doing. Jack Black hosted SNL for the 5th time on April 4th, 2026, while Jack White appeared as musical guest on a milestone night of his own. But this wasn't just a victory lap. It was SNL roasting itself in real time. Jack Black finally made it into one of Saturday Night Live's most exclusive clubs, and somehow the entire place looked like it needed to be saved. On paper, this should have been simple. Big applause, big smile. Big Five-Timers Club moment. Jack Black came back to host SNL for the 5th time on April 4th, 2026, officially earning his place in one of the show's most famous traditions. That alone should have been enough to make the monologue feel huge. This is one of those SNL milestones that instantly tells the audience they're watching a special night. But almost immediately, the whole thing started going off the rails. At first, Black played it exactly the way you'd expect. He came out with full confidence, full energy, and that oversized presence that makes even a normal stage entrance feel like an event. The audience was already with him, and honestly, that part mattered because the monologue only works if people buy the milestone first. You need viewers to believe they're about to see a polished Five-Timers celebration. That way, when the sketch starts twisting that expectation, the contrast hits harder. Then Jonah Hill showed up, and the whole tone changed.
What? Thank God you're here! Jonah Hill! Oh my God!
Instead of treating Jack Black's induction like a glamorous comedy coronation, Jonah acted like something inside the Five-Timers Club was seriously wrong. That's the first smart move the monologue makes. It doesn't stay in celebration mode. It turns into a mystery. Suddenly, this isn't just about a host earning a jacket. It's about a legendary SNL institution that might be falling apart behind the scenes. And the second that idea enters the sketch, viewers have a reason to stay locked in. Because now the question changes. It's no longer, is Jack Black finally a five-timer? Now it's what happened to the Five-Timers Club. That shift is what gives the monologue momentum. Instead of spending the whole opening patting itself on the back, SNL builds curiosity. And that curiosity pays off as soon as the club is revealed. Because once Jack Black enters that lounge, it becomes clear the sketch isn't treating this tradition like something sacred. It's treating it like something worn out. That was the genius of the bit. The Five-Timers Club has always been one of SNL's most recognizable recurring ideas. It carries status, it carries nostalgia, it carries that feeling of comedy royalty. But in this monologue, the room doesn't feel magical, it feels tired, overused, almost haunted by its own reputation. And then Tina Fey steps in and makes the joke even sharper by basically admitting what the audience is already realizing. This bit has been done so many times that it's starting to collapse under the weight of its own legend. NBC's own write-up emphasized that self-aware angle, and that's what gives this monologue more than just cameo value. That's what makes this opening more interesting than a normal celebrity milestone. It's not just celebrating the Five-Timers Club, it's roasting it. And SNL clearly knew that was the only way to keep it fresh, because let's be honest, if the sketch had simply lined up a few famous people, handed Jack Black a jacket, and played the whole thing straight, it probably would have felt predictable. Instead, the show leaned directly into the fact that the tradition has been repeated so often that even the show itself seems aware of the fatigue. That self-mockery makes the whole thing land harder. The club isn't the reward, the club is the joke. And once that idea is locked in, the cameos start hitting differently. Melissa McCarthy, Candice Bergen, Tina Fey, Jonah Hill. Each appearance makes the sketch feel bigger, but also funnier, because every new face adds to the sense that this exclusive room has become strangely overcrowded and completely unstable. Coverage of the episode highlighted just how stacked the monologue was with surprise guests, and that crowding is a huge part of why it works. The more star power the room gets, the less exclusive it actually feels. That's a really smart structure for retention, too. Every time the audience starts settling into one version of the joke, the monologue introduces a new layer. First, it's a milestone. Then, it's a mystery. Then it becomes a self-aware parody of SNL nostalgia. Then, it turns into a cameo pileup. Nothing stays still for too long. And that constant shifting is what keeps viewers engaged, because the sketch is always becoming something slightly different. But then comes the part that really changes everything. Jack Black stops reacting, and he takes over. After watching the Five-Timers Club turn into a chaotic, broken version of itself, he decides there's only one way to fix it, with rock. That line is the hinge of the whole monologue. Up until then, the sketch is running on surprise appearances, self-aware jokes, and the slow collapse of an old SNL tradition. But the second Jack Black decides to save the club through pure rock energy, the monologue stops feeling like just another clever backstage bit. Now it becomes a Jack Black performance. And that is exactly what the audience wanted, even if the sketch waited a little before giving it to them. Because Jack Black at full volume is never subtle. He doesn't half commit, he doesn't gently lift a scene, he detonates it. So once the monologue reaches that point, it suddenly has a payoff big enough to justify all the build-up. This is no longer just a joke about SNL history. It's a full-blown spectacle. And then Jack White enters the equation. According to Entertainment Weekly, White's appearance marked his 6th overall time on SNL and his 5th solo appearance as musical guest, which made the pairing even more fitting on a night built around milestone appearances. Once he joins the performance, the monologue stops feeling like a sketch that happens to include music. It becomes a genuine rock-fueled ending. And honestly, that's the exact ending the bit needed. The Five-Timers Club had been framed as stale, repetitive, and almost cursed by its own legacy. So when Jack Black answers that problem by blasting the room with the energy of Seven Nation Army, it feels earned. It doesn't feel random. It feels like the release the monologue had been building toward from the start. The room looked lifeless. Jack Black brings it back to life through sheer force. That's why people will remember this monologue. Not just because he became a Five-Timers Club induction wasn't enough anymore. It needed conflict, it needed self-awareness, it needed escalation, and most of all, it needed someone who could turn an old SNL tradition into something loud, chaotic, and alive again. That's exactly what Jack Black did. In the end, the most interesting part of this monologue wasn't the jacket. It wasn't even the cameos. It was the fact that SNL openly admitted one of its most beloved traditions has been repeated so many times that it now risks feeling worn out, and then used Jack Black to revive it in the most over-the-top way possible. Instead of pretending the bit still felt untouched, the show leaned into the damage. It made the overused part of the comedy, and then it handed the entire mess to someone uniquely built to rescue it. That's what turned this from a milestone into a moment. Jack Black didn't just join the Five-Timers Club. He walked into a club that looked like it was collapsing under the weight of its own history, and somehow made that collapse the best part of the show. So what do you think? Did Jack Black actually save the Five-Timers Club? Or did SNL just find a louder way to recycle one of its oldest jokes? And out of all the surprise guests, who stole the monologue for you?